But you know what a ghost look like if you've seen one. Every day we encounter ghosts. We just don't realize it. Think about today. You probably went to the store, you probably went to work, or you probably rode the subway. How many people did you encounter? And think about it. You walk past these people. You don't know who they are. You don't really think about it. But how many of those people might have been a ghost? Now, we think of ghosts as sort of being these transparent things that you can see through and are terrifying and creepy. But most reports of encounters with ghosts are just regular, normal people that people who encounter them don't even realize that they are ghosts. Now, that's true in these two stories. There's this man who was driving from Dallas to Oklahoma, and he said he happened to be on this back highway. Now, he had just bought this brand new vehicle, and this was his first time taking it on a long road trip. So, as he's going down this dark, remote highway that cut through a bunch of cornfields, he said he started to hear his tire making a funny sound. And then all of a sudden, he hears an explosion, and his tire had blown. So, he pulls his vehicle off to the side of the road, and he gets out and he starts looking for his spare tire. Well, he soon realizes that he doesn't have a tire jack. But then out of nowhere comes this old 1950s pickup truck, and it had this wooden boxed in bed. And this man steps out. He's sort of this taller African American man wearing these jean overalls, and he's got some black boots on. And he said this man walked over to him and said, hey, let me help you out. Looks like you're having some car trouble. So he goes to his truck and he gets out this very old looking jack. And he jacks up the truck. He puts the tire on for him. And so this man, he wants to offer this guy some money for helping him. But the guy says, no, I don't want it. I'm not going to accept it. He says, just make sure you do good to someone else. He says, okay, I'll see you later. And he gets in his truck and he drives away. And at first he thought, that's kind of strange. That guy just came out of nowhere and it was right as I needed a jack. So he gets in his car and he drives down the road and he gets to like this nearest town. And he happens to stop into this old diner. And as he's sitting there, he starts talking with the waitress. And tells her about, how this nice man, I don't know if he's from this town, but he helped me, get the tire on my truck. And like, if you see him again, tell him I said thank you. And the waitress looks at him and said, oh, you seen Gus? He said, Gus? Who's Gus? And she said, oh, Gus is the friendly ghost that lives on that highway. He was driving one night and he was in an accident. And he was this nice old man that liked to help people. And still to this day, people say they encounter him when they're having car trouble or something is going wrong. Now, this next story takes place in Arkansas. There's this woman, she said that she had just moved to Little Rock. And she said every day when she would drive home, she would turn onto her street. And on the corner, there was this blue house. And she would see this old woman in sort of this checkered nightgown standing on the edge of her yard, just staring off into the distance. And she said she didn't move. She just stood there. And she would drive past her. She would pull into her house and that woman would still be out there. And sometimes she'd be standing in her yard for like hours. She said one day she drove home and she sees the woman standing out there. But as she pulls in her driveway, she gets out of her vehicle. And she said right as she turned around, there was a woman standing at the edge of her driveway. And she's like, how in the world did she get from the corner of the street to in front of my house that fast? So she turns back into her car, grabs something, and when she turns around, she was gone. Well, shortly after this, she talks to one of the neighbors. And she starts asking her, who's the neighbor on the end that, is always outside in the checkered nightgown? And the woman seemed confused. She said, who are you talking about? And then she goes, oh, you mean there used to be this lady, Miss Martin, who lived on the corner house. But she passed away 10 years ago. She always would stay up and sit out in front of her house or stand out in front of her house. And she wore this checkered nightgown.